CSD. Welcome to the latest edition of Super's Vision. Today we're going to be talking about growth and decline in Douglas County School District. As you know, our school district is extremely large, 844 square miles, or almost 2/3 the size of Rhode Island. As a result of that significant size, we have pockets of extreme growth here in Douglas County, as well as pockets of declining enrollment. So to give you an example, in our North Planning area, the Sterling Ranch community is going to be 13,000 homes when it's built out. We don't have any elementary schools in Sterling Ranch to support that community. On the other hand, Highlands Ranch, which is about 36,000 homes, has 18 elementary schools. But Highlands Ranch is a stay-in-place community where families moved in 20 or 30 years ago, and they're still there. Their young children haven't been replaced by new young children, and so those schools are experiencing significant declining enrollment. On the other side of Highlands Ranch, we have the Canyons and Ridgegate East, which will also be tremendous areas of growth. The Canyons already has so much growth in it, and again, we don't have any elementary schools in those areas. They're like school deserts. So I'm here today with Assistant Superintendent Danny Winsor and Executive Directors of Schools for the North Planning area, Ian Wells and John Gutierrez. And we're here to engage in a discussion about the challenges that growth and decline are presenting for our school district. So Danny, I'm going to start with you. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
So one of the challenges that we have overflowing schools on either edge of the North Planning area, which are accommodating the students from both the Canyons and Sterling Ranch as those communities are being built out. We also have in the middle of Highlands Ranch really small schools that are continuing to get smaller. Can you talk to me a little bit about the challenges that presents in terms of opportunities for our kids?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the question, Superintendent Kane. We appreciate joining you. In the North Planning area, specifically in Highlands Ranch, we really do have that polarity of the extremes of significant growth as well as some decline in the middle of our Highlands Ranch community in particular. When we look at our schools that are growing, there are some great opportunities with growth in the sense of students having additional options, but also in our schools that where we need to try to right size some of these schools, which are some of our smaller schools. How do we ensure that we're providing the educational programming that we're committing to our community? How do we ensure that we're recruiting our best teachers? Because as you look at our schools sometimes that are in decline, sometimes it can be a challenge to be able to retain teachers from year to year. What does that look like? How do we make sure that we can offer class sizes that are appropriate to meet the needs of our students, as well as ensure, as we talk about the specials programming, specifically music, art, PE, some of these areas that help complement the type of education we want to provide, that we can sustainably provide those opportunities. And so for us, it's extremely important that we look at that vision within the next 3 to 5 years to ensure we can provide those opportunities for our students.
And both of you work in the Highlands Ranch region, overseeing both West Highlands Ranch and East Highlands Ranch. John, can you tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you've seen with the school sizes being in the extremes, as well as how our staff is doing?
You bet. That's a great question. Thank you for asking. So when we think about it, it's truly an economy of scale. As we have more students in our schools, we are certainly able to offer more programming, support, resources ongoing. I was a principal in our school district for 17 years, and my final 15 each year we were seeing a little decline in enrollment, and to put us on a choice and a decision, what are we going to do to help support our kids? And it was a tough decision, and it was certainly wanted to keep our staffing ratios in a good place, programming, arts, all in good places. We had to make some tough decisions. The impact truly is our neighborhood schools are really good places to be. We have great leaders, teachers, communities that support. They want good things to happen. We have to make some tough choices when we do get a little bit smaller. And I think that's where it has been challenging. It's been an ongoing piece in Highlands Ranch or at East Highlands Ranch for a number of years. We've had conversations in the past. I think it's really desirous to do what we can do to best support our students and our staff.
That's great. And I do think that one of the challenges that we're really seeing, and especially out in our community at large and other school districts around us, it's really hard to make challenging decisions around declining enrollment. And one of the things we're trying to do here in Douglas County is get ahead of that and actually look at making a proactive 3 to 5 year plan so that our staff and our families know what to expect over the next 3 to 5 years. And we have to do that with our community. Ian, can you talk to me a little bit about how people in really small schools in your area have been feeling, understanding that declining enrollment is a real issue.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I appreciate being here. We've been talking about it, quite honestly, for the last 5 years. It's been an ongoing conversation of understanding what projections look like in enrollment. You mentioned the birth rate, knowing that there's going to potentially be significant numbers declining to the point of multiple schools that are going to be very small. So we've had conversations with principals to ask, what does that look like? What does the future entail? What does that have to do in terms of West Highlands Ranch in particular? We've had schools that have brought it up with their school accountability committees. We have schools that have had conversations even with parents, understanding, John mentioned, enrollment and what that does to staffing. Specials has been brought up a few different times, and having to determine, how do you function with a 0.5 FTE, which is a half-time specials teacher, and that's just not great programming for everybody involved. So principals have been very creative. Principals have tried to do various things to understand how to manage within the budget. I will share there has been district support to schools that are the smaller schools in several ways. We've redone our budgets and how we allocate to support small schools. We've tried to be really creative. And, unfortunately, I think we're getting to a point where that 3 to 5 year plan that you're mentioning is on the precipice. We have to talk about it because financially it's the way we are right now.
And one of the nice things about our particular challenge is that we're also experiencing that tremendous growth. So as we look at potentially pairing schools in our 3 to 5 year plan in our areas of declining enrollment, we're also looking at potentially opening new elementary schools, which means there's truly a job for everyone. So one of the things we really want to have our staff hear us say is that even as we pair schools, in order to reduce the number of schools we have, we are promising that there is a job for everyone, because in other areas we're growing. And so it's just managing to balance out our district and right size our schools so that our opportunities for students and for our staff are consistent across our district. Ian and John, I know you've both, and Danny, you two have been in this district for a really long time. It hasn't generally been our practice to bus elementary students long distances to go to elementary school, right?
Absolutely. I think one of the things we've talked a lot about is, an elementary school needs to be at the hub of its community. And that is something we absolutely believe. And there's no better feeling when you see kids walking to school, to their neighborhood school, to feel like they're a part of it. Same thing for our families, dropping their student off when they walk to the schools. Those are the things you think about as you become a first-time parent, is that day that will happen. And how do we ensure that we are being forward-thinking enough to ensure that we are not trying to say a student who's living right next to one school is having to be bused 35 minutes to another school to accommodate some of the challenges that we're seeing. And so for us as a district, we've absolutely believed that commitment of developing community-based schools, specifically at the elementary level, to ensure our families feel connected. Our young families are connected, I think, to our schools. So it absolutely is a priority for us.
And we want to see our students in Sterling Ranch and the Canyons have the same great experiences that our kids got to experience in their neighborhood schools 20 years ago in Highlands Ranch. And we want to make sure that our students in Highlands Ranch continue to have the same great opportunities as students across our district. And that can be a pretty difficult balance to create. I'm really grateful that all three of you joined me today to talk a little bit about how we're going to create that balance in Douglas County and really make a proactive plan for the future of our district, and most importantly, for the future of our students. So as we begin this process, we know it's incredibly important to make sure that we engage our staff and our community to help us create this 3 to 5 year plan. Our first step is going to be to get out into our community and really talk about this challenge that we're facing and why growth and decline is such a challenge in the North Planning area. This is something we absolutely want to work on together with our staff and with our community. And so we will have engagement opportunities over the next year or so as we work on looking at this potential 3 to 5 year plan. Thank you again so much for joining us for this version of Super's Vision, and I hope you all have a great day.